And alright guys, welcome along to another episode of 420 News. And 420 News is brought to you by Martin's World, and I'm your show host, Martin Condon. What's going on guys? I hope everybody's doing good out there. See some comments coming in there and all from Robert and Chris. Good evening guys, I'm doing good anyway, so I hope you are too. Got me trusty volcano bag here, keeping me going. So happy 420 out there guys, I hope you're all blazing on up. So guys, I have a rake of fucking news to actually get through for you there today, from here and around the world. So hopefully fucking everything holds up and we'll get stuck right on into it. So guys, before I do get stuck into it, just to remind you, if you want to support the show, support the fight for cannabis legalization in Ireland, you got the patreon.com/Martin's World, or you also got the martinsworld.ie where you can make a donation in the form of Bitcoin. You'll find a little button up there where you'll be able to make a donation. I'll also be throwing up a PayPal up there very soon as well, where people will be able to easy just kind of click and make a donation towards the show and towards the fight for cannabis legalization in Ireland. Guys, that money's not going towards myself. I'll be using it for the various campaigns you'll be seeing, and for hiring out a venue to set up that cannabis activist hub, so we can kind of plan out those campaigns too. That'll be happening all very soon. And I suppose in relation to that, like I suppose the first bit of news today is a tweet from Little Collins. Just want to bring attention to Little Collins and his Twitter page. If you haven't followed Little Collins yet over on Twitter, just go over and give him a follow. He recently shared this. He has en route to himself a 50 kilo bag of hemp seeds. What's going on, you ask? Well, this is a free activist campaign to promote the environmental and health benefits of hemp cannabis. So that's coming from Little Collins there. So do guys go over and give him a like and a follow. Hopefully that is in relation to what we were talking about there the other day, which is the Overgrow the Government campaign, where we're hoping to see these seeds spread far and wide, so that cannabis is popping up everywhere, because it is just a plant at the end of the day, and it's a very beneficial one too, and we the people deserve the right to be able to grow it. So this is an Overgrow the Government campaign that myself and Greenbeard have been talking about. Greenbeard from the High and Homegrown podcast, so we'll be launching our own one there as well. I've seen some people sending in addresses and contact already about this, so that's great to see. So the more, if you want to get involved in this, guys, just get in touch with myself or the lads over on the High and Homegrown podcast, and we'll be able to get some seeds out to you, so you can take part in this Overgrow the Government campaign as well, which is an act of civil disobedience. You know, you are breaking the law by growing some cannabis, so we are sending a message to the government, you know. So guys, don't forget, if you want to get involved in that, 420 is just under 5 weeks away now, or five weeks tomorrow. Jeez, what is that actually? I'm gonna have a look now. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks actually tomorrow. Jeez, 4 weeks tomorrow to 420. Happy days. So make sure you have that one marked down in your calendars. I should start a little countdown actually, as we're coming down to the 28 days, maybe a countdown clock to Cannabis Liberation Day in Cork City. Seems like Cork is the only place that's holding an event at the moment anyway. As far as I know, I'm not aware of anybody else who's got in touch to say that they'd like to hold their own public event to help, you know, with keeping the numbers down and stuff with it, and to have their own area represented in the fight for cannabis legalisation. As I say, there's not a town, city or village out there that doesn't have an old cannabis consumer in there. So guys, if you're out there, stand up for your rights or forever be denied them. So let's go on to the second bit of news there today for you guys, and it is that veterinary kind of a review boards have kind of went through some old data, and they've urged caution around using cannabis-derived products in animals, and that's an interesting one, I suppose, given that like we see a lot of cannabis products there on the market now currently being recommended for pets, CBD for pets and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, really the danger isn't that bad. Within this, like the highlight, they talk about like cannabis toxicosis for pets, and it sounds very dangerous and everything, but in actual fact, like it isn't that bad, and it's rarely fatal. While the pets might seem kind of panicked or whatever, like, you know, it's just they all get through it okay. But this isn't because of CBD products that happens. That's when owners carelessly leave edibles around and the dogs get at them. or the cats as well, which is a common one as well for these vets, that they're seeing dogs and cats getting brought in. But it's an interesting one. They actually go way back looking at this, because they look at some of the stuff for horses, and it goes back to like even it talks about the early Greeks, where writers reported the use of cannabis for dressing sores and wounds in humans and horses. So that's thousands of years old. This is where they used the dried leaves against nosebleeds, and the seeds were used against tapeworms. They would use the seeds by steeping them in water and using a bit of wine as well, so alcohol, to do an extraction. And then they would use some of that there for treating air infections and blockages. So like thousands of years old. Then they go back to the Berlin Hippocratia, which is kind of a collection of horse remedies, and they show in that chopped up leaves were used to dress wounds on horses as well. And another one in Cambridge offers a recipe for the treatment of tapeworms for horses, again kind of reflecting what the early Greeks were doing there with it as well, treating wounds and treating tapeworms. Something that we've kind of been information we've lost, I suppose, over time, because of the advancement of modern medicine and all of these amazing pharmaceutical compounds. We've forgotten about the old ways in which we would have done it, which would have been more in line with biology, I suppose, really, like in the way in which we would have evolved consuming these different plants and herbs for a variety of reasons. But it goes on to say that until relatively recently, cannabis was found in a large number of veterinary medications designed to treat colic, spasmodic colon, and other horse ailments. The bottles of some of these veterinary drugs survived to provide evidence of the therapeutic uses of these plants. And in the 1800s, American veterans routinely prescribed equine colic medication, which contained high doses of cannabis. And Park Davis then, and I have one of their bottles here for you actually, Park Davis, these were guys who went to India. They collected some seeds there. They brought the seeds back, and I believe it was in Michigan they were growing these plants up on the Blue Ridge Mountains, it says. And this is like going back over 100 years ago, like more than 100 years ago, and they were using these as remedies. So it was known, and it was beneficial, obviously, because why else would they have been using it? Why else would they have set up these companies and had all these getting given out? And we're now kind of denying them. But the US Department of War had no hesitation in recommending its use for colic either, because obviously they had a lot of horses in their within their battalions, and its 1915 manual for farriers, horseshoers, saddlers and wagoners recommended giving colicky horses 1 teaspoon of liquid cannabis Americana mixed with 1 teaspoon of olive oil. So it seems there that the Americans were even after adopting the cannabis plant as their own kind of cannabis Americana within the recommendation given out by the Department of War, and how they were taking care of the horses. Do you know, and it really, I suppose, in a certain sense, it makes you wonder, like that saying, you know, to get down off your high horse, you know, where did that come from? Did this have some evidence in the origin? Maybe there were some veterinaries out there where they were just giving the horse a bit too much. Because like they even use and even currently, like actually some of the CBD products are being recommended for horses for like kind of dealing with different behaviours horses will have. Now, I'm not really a horse person, but sometimes I suppose they can be a bit problematic, I suppose, in certain ways, a bit pesky. So apparently CBD has been recommended to kind of calm them and to make them to be more easier to work with, I'd imagine. But it's interesting then that the International Equestrian Federation has declared all cannabinoids as banned substances on its equine prohibited substances list. Products that cannot be given in competition to horses include natural and synthetic cannabinoids and other cannabimedics. That's really interesting. You know, it's just an outright ban there by the guys in the International Equestrian Federation for the competition. But in conclusion, anyway, for this review, and I suppose really in this, at the end of the conclusion, it really came clear that the motives maybe of the people kind of making the review. But basically, further research is recommended to improve our understanding of safety and effectiveness of the use of cannabis-derived products in veterinary medicine. Current research is limited, mostly done on small samples, at times with conflicting outcomes. This suggests that cannabinoid products may potentially be beneficial in certain cases to reduce pain, particularly osteoarthritis pain, and as an adjunctive treatment of canine epilepsy. So what they found here is actually, there is maybe evidence there to suggest that cannabis can be used for those aforementioned conditions. And currently no cannabis-derived veterinary medical products are authorised in the EU or North America, and the off-label use of human medicinal products might be allowed to be used in animals in certain EU countries or in the US only when the EU or US FDA approved products respectively. And then they make some recommendations, and it's in the recommendations then of their conclusion that I suppose they reveal their position, because they call for an outright ban on over-the-counter sale of hemp-derived products for animals, they should require a veterinary prescription only. So if you would like to get CBD products for your animals, these guys are recommending you need to go to the vet to get a prescription for that, and you would get it then from, I suppose, a pharmaceutical company who would supply it to the vet. You see like the position they're leading up to here in this. They also call for a prohibition on producing pet foods with cannabis-derived products without known safety and efficacy. So at least I suppose if you can prove safety and efficacy there, you might be allowed to have your product on the market. And they also call for a prohibition on producing feed supplements or beddings for producing animals with CBD or cannabis. So again, like you're calling for an outright ban here, like on CBD pillows for your horses. And there's actually CBD pillows on the market, lads. That's mad to think, like, just if you want a good night's sleep, have a pillow that's infused with some CBD. But again, like as I say, I suppose that they do reveal their position in that, like maybe a bit, they did in their conflicts of interest. They state that there is no conflict of interest, but again, like maybe they're eyeing themselves up to maybe be, I don't know. Are they vets themselves? Are they a person who might be investing in a potential company that's looking to make these products for pets or for horses? Interesting. Like I don't know enough about it, like, but I just think there's a bit of shadiness within that. Because really, why aren't they kind of homing in more on, like, there's actually benefits there for dogs who have seizures. Oh, this is very interesting. Why don't we look at this more rather than calling for an outright ban on it? It's like, it's crazy, like that it's prohibition that they go for, like. But I suppose, looking in other news there, and this is just bringing it back to home. Abigail, who is a cannabis patient here in Ireland, Abigail needs life-changing medical cannabis. This was a headline that popped up there on one of the articles recently, accompanied with this picture of Abigail on the left with her mother, Deborah, alongside her. But Abigail suffers from Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, so that's basically a severe form of epilepsy. And she's 16 and she's from Blackrock, and she began to suffer seizures at the age of 6. So she was kind of a healthy, well-to-do girl up until that age, and at that point then she lost her ability to walk, talk, and even feed herself. And it all went downhill from there. Sadly, maybe what might it have meant, actually, I would imagine, like when she was 6, had she had an ability to just, oh geez, my daughter's having seizures, and you could go to your doctor, and the doctor actually was able to, in an expedient way, prescribe cannabis-based product to reduce the effects of the seizures. Would she have been able to retain that ability to walk, talk, and feed? Like, we will never know the answer to that question, mainly because of the ignorance of people like Frank Feehan and Stephen Donnelly, our health minister, who currently deny access still to so many patients because they insist in their prohibitive access programs. Where basically this patient, why this article was out there, is highlighting the burden on the parents and the patients to cover the costs of the medications, and if they're lucky enough, then the government will reimburse it afterwards. In this situation, like the parents are paying up to €600 a month for the medication, and they're basically getting the runaround by the HSE. At one point in time, they contacted the HSE about their application, for the reimbursement, and the HSE were kind of like, who are you? We don't know you at all. We don't know about your case, like this is mad. It's the incompetence it's out there. It's crazy to think, like, and it's bad enough, like, that these parents have to like, it's difficult enough that these parents are in that situation where their child is so sick, like, and suffering such a serious condition, like, but for them to have to campaign and fight just to get access to this bloody medicine, like, it must be really tiring. And I don't know how these people manage to retain faith in humanity and in the people in power and the politicians. Like, I don't know how people like Vera can be so kind when she's wording her tweets online. And I suppose in highlighting Vera right now, like, she's trending across Twitter with the Talk to Vera hashtag. So, like, she shared there with the public recently through a tweet how much it costs and what she has to do to get access to the Ava's medicine. And I have a picture here of the tweet so you can all see it. But she says, getting ready to transfer €9,500 for the next prescription. That's a 3-month prescription. A simple adjustment would allow Bedrocan patients to be treated the same as future patients. Can you make this adjustment to help us? And she's tagged a few TDs and MEPs there in that. But basically what she's asking for is under the Medicinal Cannabis Access Programme now, patients can get reimbursed for the price of the cost of their medicine. But because Bedrocan and the situation there with it, basically Holland, they don't have a license to export it or some fucking silliness like that anyway. So basically the patients have to go there and collect it and bring it back, or as it currently is because of COVID, it's been shipped by private courier. But because of this technicality, like, the government can't reimburse her. That doesn't fit within the remit of the Medicinal Cannabis Access Programme. So still patients have been, like, in Vera's case, it's 9,500 every 3 months. That is a crazy amount of money to be having to put out. Now, in her situation, I believe it's getting reimbursed by the government, but I think it takes up to a month or two before she gets reimbursed. I think she said it's like 4 weeks before it gets back into her account. Crazy, like, it's absolutely crazy. And the cost then as well is another crazy thing, because we're looking at it, this is a product coming from another country. Why in the name of God aren't we investing in the people here? There's people, like, educated here who could be developing, I don't know, a public, state-sponsored production facility where we're producing these cannabis-based products for patients like this, so that we're not forking so much money out of the public's, like, pockets. Like, this is me and you, this is our money we're paying, and it's going to Bedrocan, who are a private company in another country. It's silly. Like, why aren't the government calling for, like, one of the many people out there who've been actively campaigning and lobbying against them? Like, I've contacted them numerous times about licenses, and because of my conviction, because of my position, I can't even be considered, like, to be a contender for a license to grow cannabis. It's ridiculous, despite actually having an honours degree in herbal science. It's mad to think, like, the ignorance that is out there within the government, like, and what we're doing to a potential multi-million dollar euro industry here in Ireland. And shout out there to Miss Dawes as well, who super chatted in there like 5 minutes ago, but I've been just kind of just vibing on, so I'm sorry about that. And he says the Church of Cannabis says hashtag talk to Vera. So nice one there to Miss Dawes, and nice one as well to everybody who's commented so far. I've a load of news to get through, guys, so we will belt on. I see Yanis out there, James, Cullum, Uncle Monkey, John, Keith, Martin, Owen. Guys, how y'all doing? Hope you're all well, hope you're all blazing up. And Joe's out there as well. Joe, what's happening? Cork Driller. Guys, nice one. I see all your comments coming through there as well, guys. And I'll try to get back to them if I can at some stage. As I said, there's a lot of news to actually get through today. If there is something you want me to read, just make sure you use the @Martin's World, and it might catch my eye and I'll draw my attention to it a bit more. So let's drive on. So guys, so last Thursday, and I believe I missed this piece of news last week, where €400,000 worth of cannabis plants were seized. And I probably missed this because I just done a smaller show there on Friday, where I just picked out 4 headlines that I'd quickly grabbed and researched. So basically there on Thursday evening at 7 p.m, Gardaí carried out a search in Drogheda, I believe, no, Blanchardstown actually it was. So above in Blanchardstown, the search was carried out as a result of a warrant which was issued following an intelligence received. So basically a rat. During the course of the search, investigating officers discovered an elaborate grow house where much of the premises had been adapted to the cultivation of cannabis plants, as well as an elaborate ventilation system. Gardaí seized approximately 450 cannabis plants with an estimated street value of €400,000. So again here, like we're locking up we're going to potentially be locking up somebody expending over 100,000 per year, and this person could have been maybe maybe this guy wasn't such a bad guy. I don't know who the individual was in this case, but just let's say the scenario, this is just a guy who liked growing cannabis and he got a bit ambitious and he said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to convert an entire house and grow 450 plants for the crack because I can, I want that. And maybe he's 10% of his customers are actually patients, and maybe he actually cut some a nice deal too, maybe even gives it to him for free. And now he's going to get locked up and we're going to be paying 100,000 a year. These patients are going to have to go find a new source for their cannabis. It's mad to think, There was a second follow-up search then conducted at a second residence at Cedarhurst Road in Dublin. And during the course of this search, officers seized a large quantity of designer goods, including bags, shoes and jewellery, as well as a 181 Mercedes-Benz vehicle, all of which Gardaí suspects are as being proceeds of crime. So I wonder how many old dolls of the cops out there are boyfriends of the female, the bang Gardaí, are dolled up there now in the old bling, an old pair of shoes there going missing, an old, Canada Goose jacket there just kind of slide to the side, we don't need all of this evidence, you have most of it there, because in reality, it is the criminal, if you are a person getting caught with this, you're going to argue, the cops took some of my jewellery, how are you ever going to even know, you probably will never even see that evidence again. Even the car, the 181 Mercedes-Benz there now, goes into the Garda impound, and it'll be pretty much sold on, they're all benefiting off of this game, It's a massive game, but there's people's lives being lost, on the street because of this, because there's young kids getting involved in drug dealing because of drug dealers being it's so easy for them to recruit them in. There's no regulations, rules around age limits as to what age you can hire a fella to sell your cannabis, we don't have that currently. So it's so easy for them to do it, And a bank account containing over €130,000 is also frozen. So again, more dash there for the boys into the old exchequer fund, because I think all of this is pooled into the central fund and it gets used for all of the various means and tax. But I think things like the cars and stuff like that, those kind of assets, I believe that's seized maybe by CAB and they can use that money as they wish. I don't know, I could be wrong now. I'm open to correction there if anybody knows better. But it's crazy to think how much is being seized and how much we're missing out. Again, €400,000 they're saying this is worth, slap a 23% tax on that, and that's what the state is losing out on by not having cannabis legalised and regulated, as well as losing out on the opportunity, as I mentioned, to put age limits in place, to put proper controls in place around employment rights and things, because you don't know, was there a slave involved in growing this? Did they bring some guy in from Eastern Europe, from Vietnam, some child slave coming over here to grow the cannabis in the grow house? You don't know. While I was trying to say one scenario, the guy's a good guy, and the other side, he could be the sleazebag. He could be that guy I mentioned last Friday who was a murderer and rapist, who was growing the cannabis here. You just don't know, until we legalise and regulate it and end this fucking era of prohibition. We're going to continuously see stuff like this and more wasted time by our Gardaí day in, day out, fighting a failed war on drugs. And more highlighting of the failure of it, because there's a teenager was arrested after a house was raided in Dublin with €1,500 worth of suspected cannabis found. And there's an image there of the taser and the suspected bags of cannabis. And I suppose in this, the bags of cannabis, I don't know, I'll make it a little bit bigger. You could see the bags of cannabis here, they're poor, it's all grinded up cannabis. Lads, would you be happy out there if you were getting a bag of grinded up cannabis that looked like that? Really, would you? That's pathetic, and that's what people are being sold, and you don't know, and there was a very good tweet that came out in relation to this post, because this was up in the Garda Info's Twitter, and says this dust looks like grass, which is perhaps infused with JWH-18, aka spice. By making cannabis illegal, the government are putting us at risk of poisoning, and we can't be confident what we are buying and are afraid to grow because you invade our property and destroy our life for growing a medicating plant. Like, you're so fucking right. Like, you know, like, you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. You know, if you take the risk in growing cannabis, yeah, you very well could have your door kicked in, and you could have your like whole life, you know, jeopardized, your whole career jeopardized, future jeopardized because of getting caught growing cannabis. Do you know? But that's not to say, like, you know, if you don't have your own little, like, if you bought one of these bags of cannabis, you still could have your door kicked in. To be honest, like, I'd rather have my door kicked in and get caught with cannabis rather than be getting my door kicked in and getting caught with one of these bags of spice, like what's potentially spice. Like, you don't know, like, it's grinded up, for fuck's sake. Like who buys grinded up bags of weed, lads? Like, seriously, like who is doing this? Like it's obviously kids. Like that's kids. Like that's teenagers. Like, there was a teenager here, like, and a teenager with a taser. What the fuck, like? So if you're like buying one of these bags off your man, what's he giving? Like, they're probably €25 bags. Look at the state of them. Like, there's probably about a gram in each one of them, all grinded up. Like, so he's probably giving to him about 25 quid a gram for spice, let's say. And if you don't pay him, then he's gonna fucking tase you. You know, and this is the shit, like, you know, and he's watching stuff there like Love Hate or whatever it's called there, that RTE show that really fucking idolise these criminals and the gangster way of life, like, you know, and the way in which they kind of doll them up. And it's true, like, we see it in so much of our media, like, where gangsters and the gangster life, it is kind of glorified in certain ways. And it's not, like, it's not good at all. Like, you know, we need to come away from this mentality. Like, there is no glory in all it. No one's winning. Like, we need to just end this prohibition and stop this, because kids are going around with tasers and selling this stuff. Like, if people could walk into a shop, like, there would be no market for kids to sell it. Just like there's no market currently for kids to sell alcohol and tobacco to kids. Because a lot of them, like, there's probably adults buying this off them too. There's probably some sausages getting caught for this, like, you know, adults 18 plus, like, people who could walk into a store if the age limit was applied, like, if the stores were available, you know, 18 plus. But again, like, you know, you're young, you're dumb, you're naive, and you see an opportunity. Some 17-year-old then selling you some dodgy bags of weed, and he has a taser. Like, you come back complaining to him and he fucking zaps you with the taser. Like, what are you going to do? Go crying to the cop? Yeah, the young fella down there who's younger than me tased me because I went back complaining about the bag of spicy sold me. It's like, man, what the fuck are we doing at all, like, in this world? Other news there out there, guys, and we'll drive on with this because I'm not going to get through all of this news today at all, am I? Because in Limerick there was cannabis located in a picnic basket under the stairs of a person's home, and the Gardaí invaded this person's home, and it was Andrew Williams. He's 41, and he lived on the Old Cork Road in Limerick. And he pleaded guilty to the possession of cannabis for the purpose of sale and supply on the 24th of September 2019. So almost a year and a half ago that he got caught with this stuff. And during the sentencing hearing, the detective, Colm O'Shea, said 555 grams of cannabis with a street value of over €11,000 was seized when Gardaí searched the defendant's home, having received confidential information. Again, a rat. Someone snitched on this dude, like, and again, like, was it he's higher up? Was there someone higher up, like, maybe he pissed someone off, like, and he was just like, the cops there I'm paying off, need somebody, because I bet you there's some dirty cops out there, like, who do this shit, like, and they're in that there's I don't know, there's a big gang drug kingpin guy, and he's just like, yeah, go on down there to the Old Cork Road at this address, and your man has 550 grams. I just sold him a kilo there the other day. He should have a kilo down there, these gaff, like, and he had actually only 555 grams left. Like, it's a very possible situation, like, you know. But again, like, that this man, he's up in front of the judges. He's probably got free legal aid inside in this, and the judge in this case gave him a 2-year sentence, and he suspended the final 12 months of the sentence, which isn't too bad. You know, he's going to get 12 months. It's not too bad, considering actually that because of the amount of cannabis there, like, I think it's 13,000 now actually, isn't it, for the 10-year minimum. a 10-year minimum mandatory like sentence, but they never give that out either, do they? So again, a more waste of time. Like, this man should not be locked up. Like, there's prison officers out now operating in a prison where they have an extra person to look after, meaning their job is even more dangerous, because every person they have to look after makes their job more dangerous, more difficult. It adds to the complexity. There's an extra individual in there now, meaning that I need to keep an eye on more people. Do you know, meaning now while I'm watching this guy could be stabbing me in the back, you know? It's like, it's a dangerous world out there. We don't need to be doing this to our prison officers either. They're not winning out in this. Well, maybe the overall system is, because like they're creating jobs, they're creating demand there for it. Like they're creating an unsafe environment in which these people have to work in, and it's unnecessary. Like, it really is. And another Limerick man case. A Limerick man was in court where he said to the judge that he experimented with cannabis for pain relief. And cannabis valued at €20 was found in the man's sitting room during a Garda raid. So again, imagine this, like €20 worth of weed. Like, your man probably just went out and picked up a 50 fucking bag, like, and the cops followed him home or something and raided his gaff then afterwards. Like, you just don't know, like, and what the situation. But this guy here, John Kelly, he's 44 from Kilmallock. He pleaded guilty to the possession of cannabis at the local court. He was in possession of it on December 19, 2019. So just over a year ago, a year and maybe 4 months ago. The €20 cannabis was found in the sitting room. Ted McCarthy, the solicitor, said his client is on a disability allowance. He experimented with cannabis for pain relief. It didn't end well for him, with Gardaí arriving at his door. The judge, Patricia Harney, ordered Mr. Kelly to pay €150 to the court poor box. Why? Why are we making patients like this man? Obviously, like, he has disability allowance, so he has some sort of a condition there, like, and he's like, maybe he's a very valid reason for using cannabis. Like, why is this judge being like so judgmental? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, why is she qualified to make that call, like, as to whether this man needed cannabis for pain relief? It's ridiculous. Like, and she punished him €150, no small sum of money to be having to pay, like, to the court poor box. This man is on disability allowance. Like, he's in the lowest income like you can possibly be on, like, in certain respects. Like, you know, he's on welfare. It's ridiculous. Like, it's mad to think, like, and he had to pay then that to the court charity box. So he's probably going to benefit off of that court poor box then later on when St. Vincent de Paul are bringing him out the old I don't know, the Christmas hamper or whatever he might be getting off of him when he needs it. Because it's ridiculous. Like, surely, again, if this man needs to be getting access to cannabis to treat his pain, that he should be able to go down to his doctor and say, hey, doctor, can you prescribe me some cannabis? Like, can you make a recommendation? Me old back there, you know, that car crash I was in and the old back pains I suffer from. Do something there. Can I get access to cannabis? Because the guy down the road is selling it to me and I don't want to be a criminal. I don't want to have my door kicked in and be raided. He can't do that. He can't, because of why? Ignorant fucking politicians. Ah, man, it's really frustrating. Like, but let's get down to Cork. So in Cork City, a man was spotted hanging around, and that's on the tweet by the Gardaí, by Cork Gardai on COVID patrol. He had 3K in drugs and gets a lockdown fine. So while these guards were out looking for COVID, like, they were out trying to find the COVID virus, they ended up now, like, we're all in danger now because they're not going to catch COVID. Like, those guards should be out there trying to catch COVID instead of catching these bloody cannabis consumers. And I know that sounds wrong, the guards trying to catch COVID, but I mean as in put it in handcuffs, like, you know, because they're on COVID patrol, like, do you know what I mean? They're taking their time away from COVID patrol now, and they're wasting it on a non-violent cannabis consumer. Like, how many people has COVID killed? How many people has cannabis killed? My point exactly. You know, like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's diverting Gardaí's time away from a more serious issue, and they're sending on this, and it's a joke. Like, and this is the cannabis then your man had on him, like, wrapped up in like old plastic bags. Again, like, this is terrible, because if this was legal and regulated, look, we could put in place maybe better regulations around the packaging of cannabis, because this is very poor. This is terrible. Like, you know, it is, like, it's just very bad. Like, you know, brown paper envelopes, guys, or something like that. Like, just let's think about the environment. You know. But again, like, you know, we don't know what this cannabis is. It's not coming with labels. It's not coming with strength indicators. Again, this could be sprayed with spice. We just don't know. And the guards aren't going to tell us either, because they're going to send this for Forensic Science Ireland. Forensic Science Ireland are going to come back and say, yeah, lads, you got it. It's cannabis. Good stuff, lads. And that's it then. They're not going to tell us if there was anything else in there. Lads, actually, this had an alarmingly high rate of pesticides, toxins, molds, I don't know, like K2, that spice stuff. Like, you know, you just don't know. They won't come back with this information. But you know, it's a job well done for the guards. You know what I mean? Pat in the back for the guards. Adds to the numbers, adds to the statistics. As I say, a file has been prepared, been sent to the DPP. Your man in this case, it doesn't give his age, does it? No, it doesn't give the age of the individual who was caught. Although it does state that he is getting a fine because he was 5 kilometres away from his home at the time of being caught with the cannabis. And apparently drug dealing isn't a necessary reason for going outside of your 5 kilometres. Just a word of warning for any cannabis or dealers out there: don't go outside your 5 kilometres or you get a fine on top of having your cannabis taken off you. And as well, last night there was a raid in Cork where over 6,000 in drugs and cash were seized from a premises. And during the course of the search, Gardaí seized approximately 5,600 of suspected cannabis herb and cannabis plants and €600 in cash. So again, like, it's not a lot really, like, because they value each plant at €800. So like all you need there is what's that, like five plants and you're at $4,000. Like, that's crazy. Like, to think like 5 plants and you're at $4,000, and all you need then for that extra 1,600 there is about 100 grams of cannabis, like, which isn't much at all if you're a grower. Because if this person was growing their own cannabis, like, it isn't unlikely, and like in the media's eye, it seems like, oh my god, like 5,600 sounds like enough, but it's not. Like, it's really not. Like, a man in his 30s arrested at the scene, brought to the Bridewell Garda station. The drugs are sent for Forensic Science Ireland. So his plants now are going to be destroyed. His cannabis is going to be destroyed. And potentially his future and his career prospects are going to be destroyed, because he's only in his 30s. Like, you know, he's, again, like, I would like to think a man in his 30s is young. I am in my 30s after all. But again, it's what a waste of fucking time. Like, this man, like, he should be given a job. Like, he knows how to grow an incredibly beneficial plant. And there's people out there who need access to it. Like, it's crazy, and we're going to criminalise them. Why? Like, why in the name of God are we doing this? Like, here's the cannabis. They don't have any of the pictures of the plants up there. Like, but again, I don't know, is that a little weighing scales in the front centre of the photo? So they're going to try to say, oh, you've weighing scales, you must be dealing. But really, like, if you're any bit of a cannabis consumer, you're going to have a scales anyway. You should always have a scales when you're buying cannabis, because you get ripped off otherwise if you don't. And like, if you're growing cannabis, like, you're most likely going to have a weighing scales there. Like, I like to have a scales there to track my own consumption. Like, before I used to take out like a gram a day, and that was kind of it. Like, a gram a day. Like, I used to try to stick to that before. While I was in college and things like that, and I did actually for quite a while. And now I kind of consume a little bit more than that sometimes. Some evenings I get a bit more carried away than others. But yeah, that's it for Ireland anyway, guys. It's not really great news, nothing positive there at all to be reporting on, except a little Colin stuff and my own news around the Overgrow the Government campaign. So again, guys, just a little reminder to get your names and addresses in, or just your addresses in, if you want some cannabis seeds to be sent to you, if you'd like to participate in the Overgrow the Government campaign. I'm sure I've gotten enough little donations in there now, actually, that we won't even need for people to buy the stamp. If you just send me in your address and stuff like that, we'll happily send you out some seeds. So let us know, guys, if you want to partake in it. So in other news, guys, over in Scotland, Scotland have opened their first ever cannabis clinic after regulators have given it the green light. Hey, a little pun inside there, because but this is Sapphire Medical. Sapphire Medical were one of the first cannabis dispensaries, I suppose, or whatever you might call it, cannabis clinics in the UK. And they first got their license back in 2018, the year that cannabis was kind of legalised for medicinal reasons down there in the UK. But Andy Connolly Brown, who lives in Edinburgh and suffers with complex PTSD and anxiety, for which she has tried a range of conventional therapies. She said this: having access to medical cannabis is a lifeline for me. So today's news that Sapphire Medical Clinics is are now registered with Healthcare Improvement Scotland is timely. My anxiety in particular has been made worse by the COVID-19 lockdown, so safe and affordable access to medical cannabis is welcome. And Dr. Mike Sodergren, Managing Director of Sapphire Medical, said this, that we are delighted to be the first clinic to be registered with the HIS, which is Healthcare Improvement Scotland, which is a testament to the robust clinical governance framework we have established in evaluating patients for treatment with medical cannabis. By capturing clinical outcomes through the UK Medical Cannabis Registry, we will significantly contribute to the evidence-based and ultimately allow more patients to benefit from medical cannabis as a treatment option. And they've also offer patients access to cannabis, patients who can't afford access to it through one of their schemes, where they register with the National Medical Cannabis Programme. So that's some sort of a program over there. Don't know enough about it right now to comment on it. But again, I suppose this is like some form of positive news. Certainly positive news for Sapphire Medical, who are now the only medical cannabis clinic in Scotland. Do you know why isn't, like, surely there's people within Scotland who are knowledgeable and able to be able to set up these clinics too? Like, why is it Sapphire? Why is there only one? What is it about Sapphire that's so special? Like, I don't know. I think this is owned or maybe some way involved with Mike Barnes and stuff like that. So and they are around quite a while. But again, why isn't there more? That's kind of my main thing. Like, and yeah, I just don't know. But it is good news. It is good news, certainly, somewhat. I'll try to follow up with maybe some of the patients over there, and maybe try to get Karen Gray on for an interview maybe during the week, and she might be able to enlighten me further as to whether this is a good or a bad thing for herself anyway. And money, yeah, I see John saying that there's money involved. There certainly is money. If there's a lot of money to be made if you're the only person in the old village there selling this product that so many people need. So guys, back to Thailand, where the Tobacco Authority of Thailand are getting in on the cannabis rush. And the Tobacco Authority of Thailand are getting in on this, mainly because there's been a downward trend in the production or the sale of tobacco products over there. So they've seen the reduction, like nearly a 50% reduction in the amount of tobacco being bought. So quite a large amount of it reduced, or no, sorry, it was a reduction in the tax income and changes of taxes. But with the new laws allowing individuals and legal entities and government offices and community enterprises and companies to register to use legal parts of the cannabis and hemp for medical purposes, as well as in textile, pharmaceutical and cosmetic industries since January 29th of this year, tobacco farmers can earn more income if they shift to grow hemp or cannabis in lieu of tobacco. And this is highlighting here that basically in one study by the authorities, they revealed the income per RAI, so I don't know, is that like per acre, or let's just say per acre, from cannabis production averaged 150,000 baht. Crops are currently like that won't maintain that way, like that will balance itself out as industries pick up elsewhere around the world. But right now, like there is a massive benefit for the people who are the countries that do be the first to allow their citizens to take part in this industry, as has been witnessed here in Thailand. And the Thai government are really getting behind this, like, you know, in fairness to them, like, happy days. It's great to see. And again, they're making the news 3 times in less than 2 weeks. Like, so well done to the Thais over there. And there's one little image from one of their recent conventions, and they have 2 coming up, and one of them is on 420. Fucking legends. Like, can you imagine the Irish government ever doing an event on 420? Do you think they even know what 420 is? Like, you know, they probably have seen it around, or they may be aware of maybe the what it's attributed to. Like, but you know, it's probably like if you said 420 to them, it would take them a while to realise what you're on about. At least the Thais, man, the Thais are in tune. Like, they know what's going on. Fair play. I hope to get back there someday soon. Let's go to Morocco. So Morocco have a bill to legalise cannabis, and it is dividing growers. And you heard that here first on Martin's World, guys, because I did talk about that when I was covering the whole fact that Morocco was going to legalise cannabis there for medicinal and therapeutic reasons, medicinal and therapeutic reasons alone. So I did say that, like, that this is going to cause a big divide, because a massive amount of the growers down there were growing cannabis to process it into the cannabis resin to be sold onto what is seen as the recreational market. So it's caused a massive divide down there with the growers. A lot of growers saying that they would prefer to be able to grow and process into their more lucrative resin hashish. They talk about the price difference there as well. Where is that now? Sorry, just started losing that figure. Yeah, they're talking about the prices have fallen in recent times, whereas 10 years ago the farmers would have gotten like 15,000 dirhams, which is equivalent to 1,200 or 1,200 pounds for a kilo of hash. But now they only get 2,500 dirhams, which would be the equivalent, I don't know, about 300 or 400 euro per kilo. But it's the dealers that are setting the price with the farmers. So basically the dealers are extorting the farmers, taking advantage of them in the situation. So it would be great if the government actually did something beneficial here to protect the many people in these areas who are involved in this, like, and involved in it for many years, like. And instead of trying to switch them over into this industrial use, which again is going to undermine their work and underprice their product again, because like the hashish, if they were to produce the hashish, you know, a ton of the hashish should still reach more will make more money from than the industrial uses of it as proposed in the government's bills. So they're saying here a ton of unprocessed cannabis fetches £500 for industrial use. The same amount would produce 12 kilos of hashish worth £2,400. So like that's what the equivalent is like. So currently, even with those shitty rates, like, because that is a shitty rate, like a kilo of hash like should be worth at least £1,000, surely, like, you know. I don't know, maybe a little bit less from source, like, but I think like £1,000 isn't a bad price to be paying for a kilo of hash, like a euro a gram or a pound a gram, like that's a good price, like. But they're 12 kilos here, 2,400. That's sad, like, because 10 years ago they would have been getting, for that same 12 kilos, they would have been getting maybe £15,000, like that's a massive difference there over 10 years. So while the cost of living has gone up elsewhere in the world, you know, these guys' income has gone down, it's gotten harder. And within the regions then where these people are producing this cannabis and hash, like, there's some 30,000 people are wanted by the police for cannabis-related offences. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, one farmer said he was arrested for transporting his homemade resin to a dealer. And, you know, so the farmer, while he's going to make the least amount of money in this, the dealer making the most, he's going to suffer the most. He's taking probably the big risk there in transporting it to the dealer. Like, the dealer, when he's dropping her off, like, he's probably dropping her off to another fucking little gopher for the dealer. Like, it's not even the head honcho, like the guy actually making all the money in the deal. It's crazy, like, to think. But again, as I say, I did call this back when I was announcing the fact that Morocco were going to legalise it, that it was going to cause a divide over there. There was going to be people to lose out, because while there is going to be some people who will partake and sell the cannabis to the industries, there's going to be many more who will still be producing and processing the cannabis into the hash and dealing with the criminals who are going to make a pile of money then on it, because they'll probably be able to produce more now because the authorities, I don't know, or maybe they'll be able to produce less. I don't know what the effect of it will do. But it's interesting to see then they talk about, like, back a number of years ago, the UN put pressure on Morocco, and they reduced the amount of cannabis in production by almost a third, or almost 2/3. So currently there's some 47,000 acres in production over there, but they estimate maybe about 20 years ago there would have been maybe 3 times more than that in production. Like, a lot of these people, what happened to them? Like, have they been killed off? Have they been locked up in jail? Like, what's going on there? Like, that's a lot of people displaced because of that, and the heavy-handedness of the authorities in this. It's crazy that I was looking at the prison numbers over there, like, and the occupancy of Morocco's prisons is somewhere in the region of like over 60,000, and that was based on numbers from 2018. But from the same period, then they had over 80,000 people in prison, so they were over like nearly 30% over their capacity, I believe it was stating in the documents I was looking at. Like, so over 30% in over capacity. And then nearly 29% then from a 2013 study that came from 29% of the prison population were there because of drug-related crimes. A lot of it, I would imagine, to do with the trafficking of cannabis and hash and stuff like that. It's crazy, like 30%. And that's gone up over the years. Like the trends there are absolutely crazy in the populations of the Moroccan prisons. I'll quickly just throw one up on screen there for you to see. But yeah, up on the screen here now you see the prison population of Morocco, and a lot of these regions are incredibly poor. Like, keep in mind, like, very poor regions, like, where like the people like they really are living on the poverty line, I suppose. Like, it's incredibly poor. I just can't overstate that in some of the regions where these people have no choice then but to grow the cannabis. Because one of the farmers, even in the article, said this, like, that they try to grow other crops and it's just not productive. Cannabis is the only crop that will grow there in any way of a beneficial form, because like they can't grow cereals and stuff. It's just not the climate for it. So, do you know, shame on the Moroccan government for denying so many people this opportunity to partake in what is a massive industry worldwide, multi-billion euro industry worldwide, and the Moroccans, who have been supplying cannabis hash to the market for I don't know how long they've been producing it, like thousands of years, I'd imagine. They're denied the opportunity, while the poor farmers of Morocco are being exploited day in, day out. And yet again, the government fail them, like, and they only think about lining their own pockets in these policies that they're passing. Shame on them. Shame on all these governments, man. They're all scumbags. And there's more of it, really, like, because you go to India, where in Himachal, where they're seeking to legalise cannabis cultivation to boost the economy. And again, like, India has an ancient past there, a long standing tradition where cannabis has been found in many of their ancient texts, the Ayurvedic medicines, dating back thousands of years. And again, because of the UN, the conventions and all of this stuff that they signed up to like 100 years ago, when we didn't really know what was going on, what they were being told, these people were denied an opportunity to kind of have their product exported around the world for the benefits it was being derived from it. Again, as I say at the start of the show, the guy who was producing the cannabis in America, he first got his cannabis seeds in India. So he went to India, seen that it was beneficial there, seen maybe evidence within the text, and said, I'm going to go back to America now and sell this and rebottle it. But meanwhile, the people over in India are not allowed to do this. They're not allowed kind of send their product all over the world, because maybe at the time, like, they weren't as well connected because of all the shit going on, because of the British Empire and stuff that went on there with them and holding them back. But again, look, Himachal is up in the northern regions. It's up kind of on the border there, near enough to the Punjab state, and near to the Pakistan border as well, I believe. But happy days, look, there's an old image here of some of the lads up there in the fields as well. It is great to be able to see, like, these industries being allowed back, I suppose. But again, I hope it's not just where these people are going to be exploited, where they're going to be growing cannabis for pharmaceutical companies or for industrial companies, rather than growing the cannabis and producing what is their traditional products like Bang and some of their other amazing products there, because they do have a long history and traditions to be very proud of in India. So I would like to see them take more pride in that, and I hope they're not being exploited in this kind of legalization as that happens. And then we'll jump on over, guys, to America. Where in America, Joe Biden is making today's 420 news because Joe Biden over in America has been, he's been firing some of his staff. So apparently some of his staff have been fired because they declared on some of their security forms past cannabis or drug use. And those people are now believed that they're being fired because of disclosing that information, which at the time they didn't think was going to have them be fired, because obviously they might have told a few tall tales then and lied a little bit, but they felt safe. They thought that this was kind of going to be okay, that this was going to be a sensible cabinet, or whatever you might call it there, a sensible presidency. But no, it seems like old Joe Biden, maybe he forgot do you know what's going on out there, as to the fact that 15 states have now legalized cannabis for adults to just walk in and produce their ID and buy cannabis, where criminals are now no longer making millions off of an illegal industry, and instead states are now generating millions in revenue and putting that back into communities where it's much needed. Like, is he forgetting all of this stuff is actually going on in his own country while he's still firing people based upon their past drug use? Like, it's sad, like, it really is sad, like, but the guy's a dinosaur, like, so I shouldn't have really expected him to come in with some fucking different changes in these policies. But another more positive news in America, and shout out to Darren White, who was on the podcast in the past, because it's been Darren White's home state of New Mexico, where the governor in New Mexico has been has launched plans on special settings on cannabis as legalization bill stalls on the final stretch. So basically over there, a bill for legalizing cannabis use for adults was set to be voted upon Friday going into Saturday, but because of tactics, I suppose, by the Republicans or whoever it was within the Senate, the bill never got debated, or it was at the time wasn't given to it, and the session was called to an end. But in the session coming to an end, one of the senators down there, and I have her name here, Governor Michelle Lujan. She says she'll call them back soon for a special session to consider the issue of ending cannabis prohibition. She says House Bill 12 puts forward New Mexico's best opportunity to establish a multi-million-dollar industry for a framework that prioritizes social justice and equal opportunity for our communities. The governor has made a commitment to sign a bill that represents our shared principles. On Saturday, after the session ended, Lujan Grisham said at a press conference that she feels very confident that this legislative body is going to figure out all of the issues that still need a little bit of effort and debate, and we're going to be ready to go. I feel very confident that we're going to be able to announce adult use of cannabis in the very near future in New Mexico. And adding that the special session could begin on or around March 31st. So that's just a week away. So I will look forward to that, and I hope it has a positive outcome. Basically what they're stating here is that there is still some issues within the bills that but both sides do want to see cannabis access for adults aged over, I think, 21 in the state. But there's just certain elements of the bill that they're not in agreement with. So now that this special setting is going to be called, then they're going to maybe have an opportunity to sort this out, amend the bill, and have it voted on then. So again, positive news there from America. Sadly, I don't have any positive fucking news from Ireland. Cannabis is still illegal here. Patients are still suffering day in, day out without access to it. And I don't believe that's going to change in the coming weeks anyway. Maybe months, maybe. Yeah, very optimistic there, maybe. But we have to be optimistic. You have to keep the spirits high. So guys, that is it for today's 420 news. Jeez, we got through it in under the hour. Just coming up right now on the hour since I started the stream. So I'm fairly blown away that I managed to do that. Apologies to everybody out there who's been commenting. If you're trying to catch me, my attention, I've been just steamrolling on through the news. I see Mustawa is asking there, where do we send our details for Free the Birds, or for Feed the Birds, hashtag Feed the Birds. For the Feed the Birds campaign, myself and Greenbird were happy to facilitate taking the names. Greenbird can be contacted over on Instagram. I believe he's on Facebook as well. But myself, Martin's World, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as well. Just get your name and address in there, and we will get them out to you within the Republic of Ireland, I'd imagine. Sorry guys up the north. If you're up the north and you want access to some of the seeds, lads, let us know. I don't want you to feel left out. I feel bad now actually after excluding you. You're in, lads, you're in. Pod just saying, hey all, I hope you're all well and staying safe, and I hope you're well, Martin. We'll catch up just on the way home. Yeah, I'm doing well, Pod, anyway, man, and I hope you're doing good too, man. I think you're probably coming close to 2 months off the SIGs now. Let us know, man. How's the old giving it up going? I hope you've managed to free yourself of that old demon tobacco. Other comments coming in there. I'll send you my details, Martin, from Teresa. Legend. Nice on Teresa. And John as well, Martin, legend, my brother. Terry is saying, this country, I swear, is a fucking joke. It's all about the money with the so-called government. Man, it's all about the money. They don't care about the people at all. It's about lining their pockets, it seems, for all of the governments, even the guys in Morocco. And again, I suppose Thailand probably aren't legalising cannabis for the humanitarian reasons either, I suppose. As much as I've been praising them, it's very much because of the economic reasons that they have legalised cannabis. Because I believe cannabis is still illegal in some form in Thailand, I'd imagine. But it's like, as I say, it's not for the humanitarian reasons they're doing it. It's always about the money, isn't it? It's ridiculous. At Martin, Jesus Bush. You say it's €20 a gram in Cork. It's 25 where I'm from. Oh man, that's a heartbreaker. That's coming in from Martin Dwyer. 25 a gram. Ah, lads. 2 grams for 50 quid. Yuck. Yuck. Get away. Scummy dealers. That's bad form, lads. Who's doing that stuff out there? Like, we shouldn't do this to one another, lads. We're in this together, like. Let's look out for each other in the community, like. 2 gram, 50 bags. Yuck. 4-Road Massive says 3.5 grams, 50 quid, no more or less. Yeah, man, it's that's kind of, it was what should be expected at minimum anyway. Like, minimum 3.5 grams for 50 quid. Like, that's minimum, like, requirement, I would imagine. Ronan Lee says smells like a Snapchat page scam. Probably is. Mustawa says oh yeah, no, that's a reply there for 4-Road Massive. More is fine. Yeah, more is fine. All right, more than 3.5 grams for 50 is definitely fine. Martin O'Dwyer says, even if you could grow your own, I love to be able to just walk into a shop. Yeah, I agree with you, man. It would be great just to walk into a shop, but look, if we can't right now, so I do encourage people, guys, grow your own cannabis. Like, go over to Percy's Grow Room, sign up, make yourself an account. If you're really worried, I think you could probably access it through the Tor browser and do all the encryption and all of this stuff to protect yourself. But really, there's probably no need for that. Like, they're giving our Gardaí too much credit. Like, just fucking Google Percy's Grow Room, sign up, learn how to grow some cannabis over there. Get yourself a tent, get yourself a fan, get yourself a light, a carbon filter. All those things are essential. Seeds, pot, soil, or whatever form of media you might grow in, like, but grow your own cannabis, lads. It's great. Like, form clubs and associations, then, like, power in numbers. Like, you know, have a chat with your buddies. Like, surely one of you is ballsy enough to grow the cannabis, like, but then the other 4 of you, the other 3 of you, need to be ballsy enough to sign your name, give him a copy of your ID along with your signature and a declaration that he's growing cannabis or she is growing cannabis for you. And be prepared then to go to court in solidarity with that person. And I'm going to release a set of guidelines hopefully soon. And if people can follow those guidelines, then we'll support you in court as an association. And, like, again, power in numbers, guys. We have to overcome this, and we have to overgrow this government. And we can only do it together. Other comments coming in there, guys. Loads of them coming in there now again. Lovely. The balls when that happens, because I lose a lot of your comments at the top. Guards are useless, don't even know what Thor is. Yeah, there you go, man. 100%. The guards are fucking useless. You're spot on there. They operate based on rats, you know, loose lips, sink ships, lads. Just keep your circle tight and you will be fine. Joe Williams says, "What's up, Martin, bro? Hope you're well." Joe, man, I hope you're doing good as well, guys. And yeah, I'll have a chat with yourself at some stage there, Joe, because I was just going to unload maybe what was personal information to yourself, but I'll keep that stuff under wraps until maybe I have a chat with you and you get the okay to disclose it. John says, "Howdy doody peoples," and well, Martin, how's things? And doing good now, John, man. All good. Other comments coming in: 60 quid for a 50 bag. Yeah, that's probably it. Like, you know, you go into the dealer, need a 50 bag, yeah, that's 60 quid. Do you know, you're probably gonna, that's not too bad. There's other guys getting charged 70 quid, 80 quid, like. I see Sean as well, doing good, Sean. And John, Yanis, Keith, all boys saying, "What's up?" Ken Green saying, "Gardai have to be close to breaking all-time records with all these seizures this year. Battery down to 3%, will catch the rest later." Nice one. And I hope, yeah, your phone has probably gone dead now, so. But yeah, man, the guards are doing crazy amount of work at the start of this year. Like, they're gotten a lash of cannabis, like, through the mail service, because so many people now are relying on the mail service to send it in. It's probably the only thing keeping on post going, like, in fairness. The guards probably have to let a few packages going through just to make sure that people keep using it, because they don't want the bloody National Post Service to fail if people stop ordering their drugs. Terry is saying, "Yeah, it's a joke. Yeah, the country is a joke." John Finnegan is saying, "Martin's world, calm down, smoke a bowl and breathe." Where's my bag? Bag's all deflated. Keith Griffin is saying, "Great news as always, Martin. Keep your lip, bro." Nice one, Keith, man. I hope you all enjoyed it out there, guys. Martin, a legend, my brother, and great show as always as well from Teresa. Keith Griffin says, "It's time to stand up, and it's time to stand up and fight. It's now or never." Yeah, certainly, fighting the peaceful way, guys. Civil disobedience is the way I encourage people to fight, overgrow the government, form cannabis associations. There's numerous ways in which you can engage in this civil disobedience. It can be quietly, form a little circle with yourselves, your friends, get your little social group going where you're growing cannabis, socialising and stuff, like just undermining the government who want to criminalise you, and be ready then, like, that when you go to court, you're going to go to court and fight it under the not-for-profit. You weren't doing what you were doing for profit. You were doing it just for your own personal cannabis consumption needs. And that's the only reason. So that's how, that's one form of civil disobedience that I will be encouraging people to partake in very soon. As I said, those guidelines, I am working on them right now, and hopefully there'll be a few more people joining me on working with those, forming those guidelines. So yeah, hopefully I'll have those soon for you guys. Other comments coming in there, guys. Leo Walter is doing 420 event. Leo Radker is doing a 420 event. He is, yeah, him and all his gay buddies, I'd say. Yeah. It's funny, like, you know, you think, man, like, coming from a community of people who were oppressed for so long would be maybe supportive of other communities who are feeling oppression in our society, much like the cannabis community. We are very much oppressed, like, you know. When I first tried cannabis, like, I didn't choose to enjoy it. I didn't decide that. Much like a gay person doesn't choose to be gay, like, it's not a personal choice that you make at all. Like, you try cannabis and you either like it or you don't. I know people who tried cannabis and they didn't like it, and then they just went on about their life and never tried cannabis again, like, or maybe tried it later in life. But it wasn't for them. But so for some people it is. Much like some people like to be attracted to the same sex, other people don't. You think Leo Varadkar would be a bit more compassionate towards our community? Nah. Do you know, he's just like, "Oh no, I done yokes, but I never got caught, guys. Haha, look at me, I'm the Taoiseach, or I was the Taoiseach. I never got caught." And he's probably going to get away with leaking documents as well. Like, man, this country is a fucking joke. Like, it really, really is a joke. Like, other comments coming in there. "Ain't that the truth?" from Teresa. But not the way we want, coming from Martin. Yeah. And pods 422 grams for 50 in Kilkenny are Lucky I live in the middle of nowhere with a good crowd of smokers. We just keep ourselves going. There we go, guys. Is this what I'm hearing? Like, is that a little bit of an association out there already? Like, people have been probably doing this stuff already for God only knows how long. Like, other comments coming in there as well. Camzy HD says, "Hi Martin, just wondering if you are into spirituality. Cannabis for me really helps with my spiritual development and helps a lot with bettering my awareness of consciousness." Yeah, I'm certainly into spirituality, and I'm certainly into meditations, and yeah, cannabis really does help with that. Really helps with just to meditate on certain ideas and thoughts. It's really helpful. It really is, especially when it comes to things like spirituality. I kind of lost like my faith in the church and Christianity and God and all of that stuff quite a bit ago. But I certainly have what is mentioned there, spirituality. I do believe in something. Like, there is some form of like something anyway. There is something. I don't know what it is. You know, it's there's a God. There is some sort of something. I don't know. But that's what I believe. I believe in something. John Finnegan says, Martin looks like he's ready to hit the bag for an hour and not the volcano bag. Yeah, man. Yes. Boom, boom. And I am actually, in fairness, I'm glad you mentioned that. I am in about 20 minutes now. I am going to be putting on some boxing gloves, and I'm going to be doing about an hour of a workout for myself, and I'm going to be smashing a bag and a dummy, and I'm going to get a good old sweat going. And I might even put old Frank Fian's head up on the top of the dummy, will I? But I'll end up just shouting at him instead of punching him. Be talking to him, telling him stuff. It won't get me exercise done. Because I don't want to hit Frank Fian. I just want to hit him with some facts. That's about all I want to hit him with. Because he really needs to be getting a good slap of some facts, like, because they're not getting in there at all. Like, you know, there's nothing getting in between that man's fucking ears, and nothing at all. Other comments out there, guys. Just flicking back through some of the older ones. I think I've gotten through nearly everybody's comments out there, guys. Guys, nice one as always. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. As I say, Burning Rubber is saying an ounce is 350 in Limerick. That's not too bad. Should be about 300. Like, really good. A good ounce should be 280, €10 a gram. That's not too bad. But 350 in Limerick, that's not so bad as well, I suppose. But really, it's still not good. But you're getting a better deal than us down here in Cork, or even the boys in Kilkenny getting ripped off for 2 grams for 50 quid. Like, what's that? That's nearly €800 an ounce or some shit like that. It's crazy. Madness to think. So guys, I will start signing off there now, because hour 15 minutes into the stream, I brought up a bottle of water as well. I don't know what I done with my bottle of water. Misplaced it. Got serious dose of cotton out there, and I've been needing to quench it all the show, and I've no ishka. No Eileen ishka, a gut. A gum. Is it a gut? Yeah, a gum. I don't know. Shit. Sorry, Miss. What's my Irish teacher's name? Jeez. Can't even think of my Irish teacher's name now. Alright, guys, I'm going to leave you go because I'm just rambling now. 400 or 500 an ounce there from pods. Man. Guys, have a nice evening. I will be back Wednesday with some more 420 news. Stay ablaze, guys. Keep it lit. Much love. Peace.